Welcome to week 2, session 4. Oops. Well, once again, the mouse does its thing. I'm going to not use the mouse. I learned the hard way on that always. I'm at work right now and getting a little adjusted. I have 4 monitors here, including my laptop. 2 monitors and then a vertical monitor, and so it's a little tricky with all these monitors. But so tonight, our agenda, first announcements. We have the learning coach's poster hours for this week. Make sure you're using Adobe Animate. This survey, I don't know that that's going to get posted, the survey on lynda.com, but I do have a new announcement. I just found out a couple minutes ago, actually. Let me share my screen and you can see what good news I have. That's my vertical screen. Can you see that? How well does that show up? Can you see that okay? It's vertical, and so I don't know if that kind of is distorted. Okay. Oh, the text is little. All right, let me share a different screen then. Is that any better? Okay, great. Okay, here's the good news. The course author, our associate dean over curriculum, has decided to give every student 2 tries on each quiz each week. Isn't that great news? Oh, just for this class is all I can speak about. So I don't know about the other classes. So you can take week 2 quiz twice, and you can actually retake week 1 quiz. So I can't speak for the other classes, and but she messaged me today and told me that she made this change. She added this red text, and she's changed it so that everybody can retake the assessment. One student had a problem, but there was no way to reset just the one test, and just for her. And I don't know if that had anything to do with this decision, but I think it's great news. So that's the good news. Now I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. Let's see. 1 minute while I figure out how I can get back to my PowerPoint. This is a little tricky. I might have to go back to just like 1 monitor because I'm not sure now where the share thing for me to share a different screen with. Huh. Oh, I see it. I just found it. It was on my terminal 4. Okay, so that's the best. That's the announcement I had that I thought was really exciting. Now for tonight's agenda. We'll make sure we're clear on the overview and objectives for this week. Make sure we're clear on the readings and tools. I think we did that. I just want to make sure there's no questions. We went over the discussion. We started the assignment already 2 nights ago. And then I'll make sure we go over the assessment also. We're all clear on the project. I just want to make sure everybody knows that you can change things from week to week. You're not committed to keeping it just like you designed it. Week 2 overview. This week we'll delve further into UX and UI and start putting together the infographic to be animated for the final project. And then the objectives, we'll focus on the user interface for desktop and mobile devices, and then the make sure we get the assets done. One thing that I'll correct that I did on Monday night was I didn't, I'm quite sure I used the Canvas template, the second for the mobile, and I meant to use one of the Air templates for mobile device, so I'll correct that tonight. So do you have any questions on the discussion? Melissa, can you tell me where you posted that response to my message? Oh, was it on the, it was probably on the Dropbox for that assignment. Okay, good. So we're clear on the discussion. We start working on the assignment already. I think, yeah, I had made a request of Melissa if I could use her work from last week and review it in class. So before we jump into the assignment for this week, why don't I do that? Thank you for that permission, by the way. I'm going to bring up the submitted assignment from Melissa from last week so that we can get clear on some of the things that work really well for a storyboard. Thanks for that. Let me bring that up now. Okay. I'm going to move this over to my screen. Can you tell me if you can see that now? Is your it's showing? Okay, great. All right, so let's just go over some of these things. This is how I gave the feedback that I gave to Melissa, and I want to involve everybody in this. This worked really well where Melissa added an introductory page. It kind of set the stage. Now, that wasn't part of the requirements, and granted, but it was helpful to me simply because it helped me get the context. So it just gave me a little bit of context before I jumped into a storyboard. So that I appreciated that. Helped me understand a little bit about the thought process that she'd gone into and how she was struggling with an idea, and so that helped that. So this here is the web or the desktop design, and so in this desktop design, she has specified times, and the times I'm guessing are the units or minutes there. And when you have an interactive application, interactive animation, obviously you don't, based upon your design, they're seconds, okay? Based upon your design, you don't always know how long a scene is going to be on the screen. And so, obviously, there's some question about that, especially if there's interaction that takes place to go from one scene to the next. So I wasn't too particular about that, depending on the user interface that was being designed. So if each screen required interaction in order to get to the next screen, then I wasn't so concerned about the amount of time. Obviously, if there's some animations that were taking place on that screen, then I would, it would obviously take some time for that to take place before you can proceed. But so here, notice that she has a logo she persists from screen to screen. That gives some continuity. And she identifies herself there also. And when she describes the scene, she explains it opens with the picture, no sound. So then she involves a new screen, and this one has text. So it's still mentioning that there's no sound. So you click on the hand, there's the interaction. So the hand becomes a button-like object. And that begins an animation. And then there's some audio that's involved. The crowd begins to applaud. More animation. More information, and then her scene 6 shows that that the animation coming out from the hat, and then scene 7 shows what the ultimate looks like. So there's the music that's going on uninterrupted. Does that again, and a different image comes up. And then finally, the last image is a picture of her. I'm pretty sure that it's in this, but I may be wrong. Is yours, each image linked to the, let's see, each image is linked to the image in your online portfolio, or I might be confusing you with, might be confusing that with another one. Yeah, I must be confusing you from another one, but that's okay. And that is an interesting idea where you make your animation dynamic, such that when the picture appears, if you click on it, if you have an online portfolio already, it would go right to that particular picture. For example, so now let's go look at the mobile. So the mobile has the same thing, slightly different situation where when the picture appears, the interactive hat goes away. And then the picture is replaced there. So different interaction, slightly different screen size. So here, take over the right side. So I'm guessing that you're going to have two different sizes of images. Or maybe you've designed it so that you reuse the same size in both. I haven't paid attention to that. What have you thought about that? Are you attempting to reuse the same asset for both designs, both the mobile and the web display desktop? Frankly, if you notice the dimensions on the mobile design versus the web design, they're very close. And I believe it's because just high resolution mobile devices. Even though it's high resolution, the design might, I'm trying to think whether or not the image will be large enough even on a high resolution small device. The image is obviously, if you look at it, the mobile device, and you have a high resolution image there on your mobile device taking up about half the screen, which is what your design is. That's going to be about 2 inches by 2 inches. Now, physically, 2 inches by 2 inches, not to mention the pixels. Very high resolution on these little mobile screens, but still, because it's so physically small, it would be fairly small footprint on your screen. Whereas this here, if you have a large screen, high resolution, we'll look at the resolution here in a minute. That's for this assignment. But the amount of physical space that's going to be taken up. So here in this design, on the web design, that's taking up half the screen. So obviously, if your screen is relatively large, and remember the aspect ratio is 16:9. At least that was what the template provided for. So now half of a screen of a display, that's more like 12 inches by, if you take half of this particular screen, or maybe even the half of my laptop, that's a good 8 inches. See, my lap, like a 21-inch laptop display, so that's like 8 inches. So nonetheless, there's a very good chance you still might be able to use the same image. A square image is probably most conducive. If you want to share the image between your mobile design and your desktop design, chances are it's going to be a square image. Obviously, I guess the caveat would be if your mobile design is also horizontal, landscape mode, basically. That too would help with, it doesn't have to be square. What I'm thinking about is if the orientation was different in your mobile design versus your webtop design, if it is different, then a square would work well. So the dimensions. Let's remind ourselves what these dimensions are. .640 by 1136. That can be portrait or landscape by flipping those. So 640 by 1136 and 1280 by 720. Those are very similar, very close. And it's just because we have high. Oh, I don't think you're probably seeing the screen that I'm looking at. Oh, maybe you were. Do you see Canvas? Oh, okay. I didn't see the green bar around it, so I was worried I wasn't sharing the right screen. Okay, so you do see it. So 640 by 1136. And then the 1280 by 720. They're just off by 80 pixels on one dimension and 70, 150 pixels on the other dimension. So those are very close. So if your design changed from portrait to landscape, I do recommend a square because that will work. It's probably the same size square in both. That will work in both. So why don't you shoot for that, and then that way you don't have to have two sets of images. So I assume everybody knows how to create, everybody's familiar with resizing images or cutting out, cropping a square, for example. That'll take some work this week. That's part of what the work we're trying to accomplish this week. All right, so any questions about this design? So the interaction will be just on click, will be yeah, you can do it in Photoshop. On click or Adobe Illustrator, either one. On click will be the interaction, and then you'll have the animations of probably tweens. Probably have tweens involved here. I was wondering if we would get into any hiding where we, but I don't think so. You're going to probably have different places on the timeline where these take place. I'm going to bring up another design here to show you. It's not try that again. So do you see another, does it say storyboard concept on your screen? Okay, great. I think I might turn off this video. I have to keep turning. Okay, so I'm going to show you another one while we're at it from last week. Another intro page, which was helpful to me. Once again, a little bit of the background. Don't worry if you didn't have this. This was just a nice aspect of some of these designs. This is Emily's. And so here, a very similar design from one screen to the next. The interactivity is the different things on the right. On the left, she was going to have a picture of herself with her information. So, the description was very helpful. Interaction, description of the interaction. So this is where I got, this is Emily who had the idea of, may also include a link to my online portfolio. My feedback on this was it wasn't intuitive to get back to the home page. What you had to do is, or what you have to do is click on the image of you. And so my feedback to her was that wasn't totally obvious by her design, that by clicking on her image, it would take you back to the home page. So I don't know if she's going to update, modify her design based upon my feedback. So this brings you back to the home page, but that required a click on her picture. So I think it's pretty intuitive that you have a button there, like my previous work or what inspires me, my design process. I think that's pretty intuitive. That especially if the if your mouse changes, that's the nice thing about a browser. When you move over a link, the mouse changes from one to another. And as you know, that's one of the things that we can change with our JavaScript calls. We can actually change the mouse. I'm not suggesting everybody needs to do that. I'm just saying that was one of the ones that one of the JavaScript calls that were part of the code snippets that that we can change the cursor. So, but it's fairly intuitive that if you just her design and you click on this, that it's intuitive that it brings up another screen, because obviously you're not getting the whole story right here in this design. So, I mean, you know that there's more information about these things than what is being shown. So this takes you to the first one, go back, second one, go back, and then third one. One thing I just noticed now is that you can see the my previous work is staying in the same location here as it is on the home page. And I just noticed that in her design. So here, what inspires me, it's going to be in the same location. And then here, my design process, same location. So that was something I just now noticed. This was helpful also, some additional information. Yeah, so here's some more interactivity. Yeah, here's some more description. She didn't include it in the parts up there just because there wasn't enough room in the template. So when the cursor hovers over an image, it will appear to lift up slightly. And that is on my previous work page. And if they click on those images, it will take them to the page of that project on our online portfolio. So I'm not sure how she's going to communicate that. It's a little bit missing in her design. So I didn't have any suggestions on that, how to change your design that made it intuitive that when you click on the image that it will take you to the online web portfolio. Then here, I would like the selections to expand out, but I'm not quite sure if that's possible to do. I wasn't clear what she meant there. I would like the image of me to change on every page so that the viewer feels like they're getting to know the different sides of me and who I am. Well, that's interesting. So I remember her mentioning that. I'm thinking about that, and one thing we could do is remember how we were looking at the functions that were based upon the tick. In other words, the interaction wasn't being triggered by a mouse movement event like mouse over or mouse double click or mouse click or mouse away. But instead it was being generated by the clock. And if you recall, there were several functions and that were dependent upon the tick of the clock, of the computer. And I was just thinking that it'd be interesting to have a loop in action going on in hers that rotated her picture like every 10 seconds, no matter where you are, rather than having the image just be present, when you click on this one, you have image A. When you click on this page, it's image B of her. Click on this one, it's image C of her. Instead of doing that, her design could be just a rotating image that area rotated like every 10 or 15 seconds, no matter where you are. Just changed. So, Emily, if you're hearing this, that's an idea I just came up with based upon your desire to change the image. Instead of having it hard coded to the scene, you could have it its own separate object rotating. That kind of gives me some ideas regarding portfolio. The idea of having a rotating set of items in your portfolio. Similar to the one that I was just talking about. Scene 5. The text on the right would look better aligned left. Yeah, it's same for scene 3. Why not some other designer? In fact, that's same scene 1. Actually, that's the home page. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good feedback. To left align the text that's on the right. That would create a little bit of a channel with the middle interactions. Also, some feedback I gave to her was to review the color palette. I just was thinking that maybe a different color palette might work better with some of these colors. But what I didn't know is whether or not this set of colors had anything to do with her brand. There's a chance that she has a logo, perhaps a brand. When you self-identify, self-branding, you may have a palette of colors that are on your portfolio website. Or I don't see a logo. But that would be possible to have a logo on the lower left. But really the focus is, she does have a mobile version. The focus is on her image. So it's kind of like a personal thing rather than a company or a business. Let's scroll down to her. This is her mobile design. It's portrait orientation. There, one image would show up. In this design, you have to study the real estate here, because there's a very good chance that the text will be too small to read. This is feedback I did not give her. That's a little bit larger than what it's going to be. That's too small. Trying to get something in between here. I'm putting the size of this image and superimposing it on my cell phone in a way to kind of anticipate how large this is. Yeah, so what concerns me here is the size of the font. It just seems a little bit too small for this design. It's not bad. Are you able to read that? Yeah, it's probably a little too small for this design. So what that means is she's either going to need to reduce the amount of text, she may have to reduce the amount of text in this part of the, in the mobile design, or create a scrollable area, keep the same amount of text, have a larger font. Yeah, it's always acceptable to have less content in a mobile. You just have to adjust. So on scene 2 there, give a brief description, some samples of my work, and a link to my web portfolio. Let's go back to the page. Click my image. Yeah, so there's a good chance we'll have to change that. Scrollable page. Yeah, so her design is set to be able to scroll. And that's another type of interaction, scrolling. So given that she's flexible in the scrolling, then there's a good chance that she can increase the font size, or but still on the home page, there's some text there at the bottom that's probably too small for the design. All right, notice that there's no music involved in this one. Any further questions on the mobile design? A couple ideas. So one thing she could do, and I might recommend this now that I think of it, is she may want to change her commitment to putting a picture of her and all her information on the same screen. That's taking up about a third of the real estate on her device here. And if she changed her design and removed that, that would free up all this area, and maybe she can make it so that just a left like stroke to the right would bring you back to the home page rather than being committed to taking up all that much real estate right there. It's a lot to lose. So instead of having this, just have my design process, complete the whole thing. Same thing with these other two. This one here and this one here. Let's see. One thing I just realized is that whereas in her desktop web display, what inspires me, each of these buttons stay in the same place, but here I'm noticing that they don't. The mobile design doesn't have that same phenomenon going on. That's fine, I'm just pointing it out. So maybe only the home page could be the one where her picture and information is. And the other subpages end up being just the full content. And then because you can swipe left, then you can go back to the previous page. And so that might be the compensating factor rather than being dependent upon clicking on the image of her or tapping on the image of her to return to the home page. Okay, so I think both of you have already done the discussion. Is that correct? Okay. So assignment 2 for this week, we already have started it. We've talked about it tonight. And tonight we'll go back over, pick up where we left off, discuss any more questions we have on the assignment. Okay, well, I think what I'll do is we'll take a 10-minute break. It's 7:55, and that way we can go right into the assignment at the beginning of or after our break. Yeah, we'll go over the assessment next. I think that's coming up. We'll go over every question of the assessment like we did before. Is that your question? Okay, great. All right. Okay, we're not yet into the assessment. We'll just do this assignment now. One thing I was hoping we could also do is that we could work on your assignments tonight too, because I'm sure we'll have enough time. So that's something that I'd like to do. Begin working on your assignments. Here we go again, just trying to figure out where that share button is. Let's see here. Where is my share button? Oh, I found it. Okay, can you see Adobe Animate? You see the PowerPoint right now? How about, can you see it now? Adobe Animate. A vertical white line. Oh, you're good? Okay. All right, so here we have where we left off. We created the layers, imported the assets into the library. I must admit that my assets haven't gone through I haven't sized them all to be the same size. If you can look here, you can see that they have different dimensions. So, so that's the work that I get to do. So we've got the dimensions, we've got the layers, and then let's bring up the other here, the mobile version. And this is the mistake I realized I made. I had created a second canvas, and so what I want to do is instead of creating for the mobile design the canvas, HTML5 canvas, that one is for your web design, your desktop design. Pick one of these down here, or here for your mobile design. And we have to get the dimensions right. So let me get those dimensions again. For the mobile design, let's see, I'm going to go with, I think I'll do 2 portraits. I'll do the landscape, I meant to say. So I'm going to do landscape. So my mobile design is going to be landscape. So I'm going to do landscape. So 11 width is going to be 1136. And height is going to be 640. Pixels is fine. Air for Android. We're good. Okay. All right. Create some layers here just to begin. The library. Import the library. Choose all openable formats. So you might have some JPEGs, some PNGs. You wouldn't want to do PDFs, obviously. You need the bitmap from your portfolio. Okay. and then import to library the audio file. Okay, got that. And now I'll resave it. Replace that. Okay. So now I've got the web design and then the mobile design, two different ones. Okay, in this design, what I want to show you is the final output of this animation that I'm working on here. Let's see, let me share the screen here. Let me reshare this because I want the audio. Oops. Okay, so this is what I'm working on. This is the project that I'm working on. As you can see, there's zooming going on. Well, the problem is that this is written in Flash. So this is an SWF file that doesn't work on a mobile device. So what I'm going to do is recreate this. There's zooms and pans. Okay, so now you get I'm going to create it from my own, using my own images. And so interactivity in this is just going to have a replay button. So it's pretty simple. Now that was all you did with your last class, DES 360. Am I right? You had an animation plus a replay button. Okay, so stage size for the mobile was 640 pixel by 1136, or vice versa if you wanted to go with a landscape. Next week, I'm going to the project that I'm working on I'll include one that's got interactivity, so that you can some more interactivity other than just the button. That way, you can see how I involve some of the action scripts that are in addition to just the mouse over button. So this assignment has you bring in your assets depending on their when they are on the screen. And in this scene, as you could see, scene one was the very first scene was a picture that started off, and then it would go between picture, and then it would go with text. We do a zoom, and very first scene was in text, and so what I would do is, so not only are we bringing in the assets, but also if you have text that you want to have in your animation, you would involve that this week too. So so layer one. And this one would have a black. I want to change the background to black instead of white. I can do that. You click here, click document, change the stage color to black. So in fact, what I think I'll do is I'll first work on my the web one. Now, as you know, when there's little ashes there, it means I need to save. I can just do a Command S. You have to do it when you're opened up on the file. So I would have two. So in the design, I've got text going one way and text going the other. And one thing I can do is, when you have a Swift file, you can download just the Swift file. And so what I'm going to do is, and that way I can control it. Yeah, well, Swift file is not, I don't have the exact URL to it, so I'll just go ahead and just go based upon my memory. So, very first layer here, text streams. Now remember, when you choose your text, when you choose your font, you got to keep in mind that that the ActionScript 3.0 allowed you to bind fonts, new fonts, the whole font right in the Swift file. Whereas with HTML5 canvas types, you have much less capability of providing a font that might not be installed on that in system. So, so the font that I choose here is going to be key. So what font? All these are installed on my system. Now, given that I'm dealing with just the text itself, I've got to be very careful about what font I choose. So let's see, what would be a very common font that the browser would have? Try BrushScript. Okay.
Mr. Brown,
Yeah.
we're seeing a screen that says internal server error. Is that what you're wanting us to see?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Let's see, I need to share. Okay, do you see Animate now? Do you see the Adobe Animate now?
No, I'm seeing that vertical white line again. No.
How about now?
Yes, now.
Now you see it?
Yes.
Very good. All right. Got my brush script. Given that this is going to be animated, need to convert it to a symbol. Instance of is there more? All right, good to convert to symbol. So, okay, so change my size. It's not letting me select that. change the color. So okay, I'll come back to that. Don't need to worry about animations now. We're just worrying about um, actually, I think what I'll do is select this one, copy it, paste it. Okay, so so in my animation here, I won't do it right now, but I'll have for a certain number of frames, I'll have a motion tween that'll go from here over to about here, and then same thing on this layer, motion tween that'll go from here and then move it back. The motion tween to the left. So that's what this object is going to be doing. But I won't worry about that right now. So is there more to life? So we've got scene one. We'll take care of that. This animation this animation here will run. The words will go left, right, and left, and then I'll have I'll do a fade of this object, and I'll fade it into I'll fade it so that it fades into the next scene of taking place here on layer 2. So I'll do a crossfade between the object of this on this screen on layer 2. I'm going to turn off this layer for right now. Layer 2. Drag and drop that. So yeah, I've got to do my work on the image sizes because that's going to. I've got to first do that before I start dragging these in. So I've kind of jumped ahead here. But this will be image that I then convert to a symbol, and so what I'll do on this is fade this in while I fade this. I fade this out and I'll fade this in. So I'm just trying to give you an idea of what work you need to do this week on your assets. So you want to have text in the right, you want to have your text in, you want to have your images on their proper layer. I'm going to probably have to move into an office. Here comes the vacuum. So let me pause the recording for just a second. Can you tell me what you see on the screen? In fact, I'm going to unmute you. Melissa, can you tell me what you see on the screen?
I see animate.
Animate?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. So in my design, I've got to do the work on my images so that when I bring them in, that they're the exact right size. And what I'd like to do now is to see if you can begin doing some of your work. Are you open to doing that? See if you have you already begun working on the week 2 assignment?
The only thing I've done is what we did in class last on Monday. So I have as far as we got there. My
Okay.
day off this week is Friday, so I do most of my work is on my day off.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So, do you want to begin working on yours right now, or or else if not, I can talk more about this one where we bring in the music and create a layer for music and.
Whichever you prefer to do, that's fine with.
All right. Well, one thing about music, you have to insert a keyframe, and it needs to be the keyframe needs to be long enough so that it can handle your entire song. Yeah, this animate is.
So in our last class, when we had
What did you do?
in our last class when we had music or sound that was too long for the animation we were doing, that's what we were talking about last week. That we went into Audition and modified the music or sound. Is that what you did here to make it fit what you wanted, or is there a simpler way?
The Audition is a program that I haven't yet worked with. So I use Audacity instead. Did the teacher go over that program in class?
Yeah, but whatever program, you went in and made your music the right length to fit your animation here.
Yeah, the Audacity is the one that I use. But I think it'd be better if I use the Adobe Audition. Is it just one of the products that you download? Is it,
Yeah.
that's where you get it? Okay, so oops.
I'll spend some time on this. I won't take time in class right now to go over it, especially if other people, if the teacher already showed you how to do this, that's very good. So everybody should be pretty skilled already using Audition. So
Yeah, it was actually pretty simple. It was pretty simple to do.
all right, well, I'll do that later. Let's do this. I'll stop sharing mine, and then let's have you share your screen, and let's start talking about your design and what you'll have to do, and the layers and your assets. We'll just begin the conversation.
Okay. Do you see my screen yet?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, maybe
Right. So do I need to open? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can first do Adobe Animate. And let's redo your mobile. And let's do Adobe Air. Say File New.
I have it open already. Can you see it?
Yeah, but did you already do it? It looks like you already did it. You created. Did you do an Air for Android or Air for iOS?
iOS. That's what I was doing when you were doing. I was following you.
Oh, interesting. Because you follow what I was doing, but maybe I said Air for iOS or Air for Android. You chose the right template, but when I was demonstrating it, I chose HTML5 Canvas. I discovered that after class. So you're all set.
No, I mean I did it just. Yeah, I did it just now while you were fixing yours. I was fixing mine.
Oh, good. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay, so you have your objects here. These are the items. I guess you have the same challenge I do, and that is getting the dimensions. Is that right?
Yes, I still have to resize all this to the right. Yes, I still have to do that.
And would you do that in Photoshop?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the best way to do it?
Yeah. So,
and then, so you want me to open my AI file to get my work off of there that I used to make the storyboard?
Let's see. Yeah, those are assets. Did you have already in your storyboard? Did you have the assets as part of that? Were the objects there that you can? Yeah, go ahead and open it up and see what you have, and then I'll be able to answer my own question.
Okay. Is your computer this slow? Mine takes for anything.
Excuse me?
I said, is your computer this slow,
Oh,
taking so long to open things?
I see. Yeah, I have a pretty beefy computer. It's my work computer.
Oh.
Are you on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that is slow. Oh, I just remembered. We've got to still do the assessment tonight.
Yes. You want to do that now?
Well, let's go a little bit into this because I have a couple questions that I want to answer or
Okay.
be able to answer from your design. So these objects here in Adobe Illustrator, are they selectable and are you able to copy them? And
Yeah, that's how I did it in the last class that we had last module.
okay, good.
Let's see. Where are my layers? There, now they're unlocked so we can select whatever we want. So, so you want me to select, like, start with the background and select it and take it over there, and then each item?
Yep. And given that some of the things are animated and some of the things aren't, we have to do a little bit of planning here on what we're going to put on which layer.
Okay.
So let's see. I think only the right hand moves. Is that right? Everything else?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we can put that on its own layer, and all the rest can be part of one layer that ends up being our background, including your name and logo.
Yes.
Yeah. So the one the one hand you can put on its own layer that moves. The one that moves.
So, so what do you want me to do? Just select everything and then deselect this?
Yeah.
All this stuff?
Yeah. What are the dimensions on your on that right there?
What are the dimensions on it?
Yeah, I guess that given that it's coming in from AI, we'll be able to resize it to be the dimensions of the stage, and accordingly the other things will resize. But
So do I hit OK here?
Let's see if we want them all on the same layer. You can turn off maintain layers because were those on separate layers?
Yes, in my Adobe file, I had different things on different layers so I could change them and move them around without affecting other stuff.
So let's think if that's what you want to be able to do here. Let's try turn off the maintain layers, and let's just see the result that that comes. Okay, so the scene one, I remember that was selected, and the description was selected too. So can you remove that? See, I think everything's on this one layer, which is fine, and then everything's still selectable. So I think you're good.
My logo didn't come over.
Oh, that's interesting. Wonder if that was selected.
And try again.
Yeah, if you want, you can. And this time you can deselect the text on the top and bottom if you want.
There.
Oh, it's better. So this you would resize to fit your stage.
So I would do that with this tool,
Yeah,
the free transform.
that's correct.
But it's not going to exactly fit because these are not the same size. They're not the same shape.
Proportionally. I thought that the template had a 16:9 ratio, and that would have worked. So you can.
Oh, they do work. I just didn't have it set window correctly.
That's good. I'm really, really glad. I knew that it was supposed to, and so I'm glad that that worked. Okay, great. That looks good.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Now I got to bring that up.
create another layer, and you can bring over your right hand.
Okay.
That looks great. Yeah, so I'm thinking about the animation on that, and it'll pivot on the upper right corner rather than your current point of origin is right there in the middle. And let's see. So we can talk about animation next week. But all right, well, this is great. This is really good. Good job. And so what I'll do is we'll switch gears now, and we'll go over the assessment.
Okay. How do I stop share? I can never do that.
Let's see, I exited full screen. And now if I share my screen, it'll stop sharing your screen.
Oh, there we go.
What do you see on the screen right now?
A frog.
Oh, okay.
Now I see Canvas week 2 assessment.
Okay. Is it still there now?
No. Now I see it. Canvas week 2 assessment.
Okay. So remember, you get to take it twice. So question number 1 for week 2's reading and tools, required reading and videos, creating and publishing an HTML5 Canvas document. In this article, it discusses that HTML5 Canvas is used more and more because their capabilities are supported on most modern operating systems and browsers. Essentially, Canvas is blank. So let me talk about HTML5 Canvas. This Canvas is not talking about the Canvas that's our learning management system. It's talking about the Canvas element that comes with HTML5 Canvas. And so the reason why we use Canvas is that's the new element that was used or that has been added to the HTML5 meta HTML language. And so it's a tag. And when we export our HTML5, and when we export our Canvas project files, it will generate an HTML5 document which has built into it a Canvas tag. And the reason why the Canvas tag is necessary is because with a Canvas-based project file, it's dependent upon that element being there. It's dependent upon the browser being able to process HTML5, because not all versions of browsers process HTML5. And some of the older versions don't have HTML5 built into it. So it's the newer versions that do that. And the output from Adobe Animate will generate an HTML5 document with the Canvas tag in it. All right. Stop me if you have any questions. Okay, question 2 for week 2's reading tools, required reading and videos. Creating and publishing an HTML5 Canvas document. Adobe Animate, formerly Flash, Now allows you to create HTML5 Canvas documents. That's exactly what that's what we've done with our Adobe Animate project file, or web project file. The scripting language that is required to animate and create actions on the timeline is, okay, so when we create an HTML5 canvas, you can see right here, if you read that, if we create an ActionScript 3.0, then this would pertain. Okay. Do you see the Canvas document right now? I mean, do you see the, it's funny, do you see Canvas right now? Or in other words, do you see question 2 on the screen?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. It's so funny. Using the word Canvas, and our learning management system is also Canvas.
They're just trying to confuse us.
Yeah. Okay, question 3 from week, okay, blah, blah, blah. Creating publish lab. Here it is. Animate, formerly Flash, supports some features inherited to Actions panel when working with HTML5 Canvas. These features help improve workflow efficiency when adding interactivity to objects on the stage. They are, select all that apply. This is choose one only. When it's a square, that means it's a checkbox. So here only one answer would be pertinent, whereas this one here, you can do more than one. So that's why it says select all that apply. Inherent to the Actions panel when working with HTML5 Canvas. So the Actions panel, see, I went from 4 screens down to just 1 screen when I moved into an office when the vacuum cleaner guy came, and so I think that my laptop still thinks it's connected to all these devices. So let's see. So the Actions panel, window Actions panel. Here we go. And click here for code snippets. Need to bring up a project file so that I can do this. So here are the code snippets. If you have an ActionScript project file, these are the ones you use. These are written in regular ActionScript language. And if you have an HTML5 Canvas document, click here, and these are the ones you use, and these are written in JavaScript. So you have code snippets. These features. So that was the Actions panel that we just looked at. Some of the things it's talking about there. I'll open up the other one. I thought I saved it. I'm looking to see if I saved my changes. Yeah, that black dot means that it's there. And I got my things turned on too. So, well, in that case, I will just create an object. Need to oh, there we go. Okay, I need to create a symbol. And now I can go into my window, my actions panel, and you can see some more aspects of this. Oh, I forgot to name it. You need a named instance, not just a symbol. I did touch it. Maybe I. Huh. That's the second time. Instance of test. That's the second time that that's happened. Now it'll work. Select it. It's got its instance name. Okay. So you can see now with the code, you notice the colors that's involved, and just kind of just certain helpful things when you are working with scripting in the actions panel. Okay, it's one that I didn't show you there. It's case sensitive, by the way. So you notice this, that this really represents the whole animation. It's kind of an over-encompassing object name. And you notice how when I click dot, you see what happened here? All these different options came up. Okay. So the reason what that is called is context sensitive code hinting. Okay. Anyways, watch that video. You'll see all the ones that pertain. Okay, from week 2 let's creating and publishing. Another cool feature in Animate is its ability to export bitmaps as a sprite sheet. The main advantages of using a sprite sheet are select all that apply. So let me explain this to you. And what happens is when an animation downloads to your browser, if it's a high intensive animation, that your browser is going to have to constantly go back to the server and say, hey, give me this next image or location, give me this next image, and so your browser would be going back and forth, talking to the server where the website is, where your application is, and constantly making all these requests. Well, so a bitmap can be encoded so that it reduces that traffic. So that's the value of Spritesheet, the traffic going between the browser and the web server where it's located. Okay, number 5, creating and publishing. Understanding the HTML5 canvas output can be confusing with all its files it creates. Now, the reason why it creates all these files is because the old Swift one, that created one file, and it would put all the images in it, or all the code in it, all music in it. It would all bundle it all into one single SWF file. But when you do HTML5 Canvas, the output ends up creating, it kind of blows it apart into pictures will be in their own file, the music will be in its own file, and some of this JavaScript that's used will be in its own file. And so it's kind of exploded. And when you look at it on your disk drive, you see all these folders and the files, separate files. You don't have just one SWF file. So, which is the old way, which you don't create SWF files with HTML5 Canvas. Those are created with the ActionScript 3.0 project file. But it's just a different animal. So remember, this is choose more than one. So, so the output is different when we're using HTML5 Canvas. It's just exploded, meaning all the file and media is separated into separate folders. Okay, question 6 is now possible to convert an AS3 document to HTML5 Canvas document. What they're saying is being able to convert from one of these project files to one of those project files. That's what they're saying. One of the ways this conversion can be done is to use the JSFL script. When run, the JSFL script does the following. And remember, choose all that apply here. Question 7. In the video in this article, under converting and reusing ActionScript assets, HTML5 Canvas, it shows you what happens to any ActionScript code that is written. I don't know what happened there. That is written in the ActionScript 3 document. Since ActionScript cannot be used in HTML5 Canvas document, the ActionScript code is commented out in the new HTML5 Canvas document. When this is commented out, you'll have to manually go in and rewrite the actions in JavaScript or use JavaScript code snippets. So that's either true or false. There are also some ActionScript code that isn't able to be converted to JavaScript and are listed in the warnings panel. Yeah, what that means is ActionScript can't do, or JavaScript cannot do everything that ActionScript can do. So, so that's why it'll come up with a message saying, hey, we couldn't do this. We couldn't translate this. Okay, next video, draw and animate strokes with variable width. In this video, the awesome width tool has been introduced in the latest release. It works just like the width tool in Illustrator and comes with preset profiles, as well as being able to save custom ones to use again at a later date. The even cooler thing you can do with this tool is to animate the width by using what type of tween. So watch that. So that's animating the stroke. That's what that's talking about here. Question 9. From week 2, interactivity. What is OWGL? We talked about this a couple days ago. And so just a concept that you understand is WebGL is like it's a set of JavaScript routines that are open source or open standard. And, excuse me one sec. Excuse me. And then it will, when you use WebGL template, it bundles it in, build your application, brings in the JavaScript files from the library, the WebGL library, and includes them, just as it does the same thing with Create.js, the other JavaScript files that we have been dealing with. So, WebGL interactivity, there are certain filters that are not supported in WebGL. What is the one that is mentioned in the video? Should be straightforward. When testing WebGL animation, it has to just watch that. That's choose one only. WebGL Runtime API lets you add interactivity to WebGL animations. The JavaScript API can add, remove, and control elements on the scene, enabling you to create responsive animation for the web. In this video, before he starts writing the JavaScript code, he needs to blank. WebGL is a JavaScript set of libraries, and so is the Create.js, which the code snippets come from. The code snippets are these code snippets that we just looked at a second ago. See here? It's got its own set of WebGL. Now that's a different project file altogether, if you remember. And so it too has code snippets. So WebGL, these are the WebGL library of code snippets, whereas these here come from the Create.js library. And remember, WebGL is its own, see that? Is its own. It says separate from this one as it is separate from that. So it's its own template project file. So it too has, it too comes from JavaScript. It's open standard too. WebGL Runtime API lets you add interactivity. WebGL animations, the JavaScript API can add, remove, and control elements. What is WebGL Runtime Player that is created in the libs folder? Remember how I told you when you export and when you publish, you create all these separate folders? Well, libs is where it puts things that it needs. So watch that. It's missing a T there. Okay, WebGL Runtime API lets you add interactivity. And to WebGL animation, JavaScript API can add, remove, and control elements on the scene, enabling you to create responsive animation for the web. In order to control assets and have them accessible on the timeline with JavaScript, it's first blank in the library. Remember the thing that I had to do before we could start looking at the code? You know, remember I had to do something in order to so that I can bring up the code, because the code is tied to, it's dependent upon being connected to a named symbol on your stage. And finally, number 16, the WebGL runtime API lets you add interactivity to WebGL animations. The JavaScript API can add, remove, and control elements on the scene, letting you create a responsive animation for the web. To add additional interactivity to your animation, you can add frame labels to your timeline. If you want the user to click or touch an object and have the stage go to another screen, you would insert what type of action. Just watch that and you'll see which one they do. All right, well, it's time for us to, I ran over tonight. It's time for us to end. Do you have any further questions?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, awesome. Okay, thank you very much. I'll look forward to seeing your work. Let me know if I can help out with anything.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.